Good morning, students. Yesterday we have discussed about the importance of the preamble. Today we shall discuss the features of our constitution. So, the first feature of the Indian constitution is the federalism. Now, it means the existence of more than one level of government in the country. Example, one at the center and other at the state. So, the basic feature of our constitution is the federal form of the government. It means that in our country there is two level of the government. One central government for the whole country, and another is the state government in the different states. In India, we have central government which makes law on the subject concerning the entire nation, like relation with foreign countries, telecommunication, defense matter, budgets, etc. So, in our country, India, we have a central government, and this central government make law which is beneficial for the whole country, like to deal with the foreign countries, telecommunication, defense matter, budget, etc. At the state level, we have state government which deal with the problems and needs of the people in the state. And on the state level, we have the state government. And this state government deal the problems and needs of the individual state. For example, agriculture, law and order, etc. come under the state jurisdiction. For example, in case of agriculture, in case of law and order and etc., these all decisions are taken by the state. It means there is separation of power between the state and central government. So we can say that there is a clear separation or division of power between the state as well as the central government. The constitution contains three lists of subjects: union list, on which the union or central government makes law; state list, on which the state government makes law; and the concurrent list, on which the union and state government share the powers to make law. So, in our country, in the constitution, three lists are there related to making the law. One is the union list. In the union list, central government can make the law. And there is a state list. So this state government can make the law. And another is a concurrent list. In the concurrent list, union or central as well as the state government both share the power and make the law. In Indian Federation, states derive their authority from the Constitution. In the Indian Federation, state got authority from the Constitution, or states get power from the Constitution. Indian Constitution also specifies that in case of conflict or emergency, affairs of state can be controlled by the center keeping in mind the national interest. It is clearly declared in the Indian Constitution that if there is any type of conflict or the emergency, then state can be controlled by the central government, so that there should be the proper order in the whole system, in the whole country. And there is basic feature, parliamentary form of government. It means that the people elect their representative to the parliament, which consists of two houses, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. According to the parliamentary form of government, people of our country India elect their representative for the parliament. And the parliament of our country consists of the two houses, Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. In India, the president is only a constitutional head of the executives, who acts only with the aid and advice of a real political executive, that is the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. In our country India, Prime Minister is the only constitutional head, and President is the head of the Constitution. President is the only constitutional head, and President acts on the advice of the executive, which is the Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers. The Council of Ministers is collectively responsible or answerable to the legislature. The Council of Ministers are responsible only to the legislature. Now, separation of powers. According to the Constitution of India, Government of India has three organs: legislature, executive and judiciary. About this we have discussed. See here, in our country India, there is a clear separation of the power. Government has three organs: legislature, executive and the judiciary. In the legislature, elected representative of the people are there. This organ of the government is responsible for making the law. So legislature makes the law. Another is the executive. Executive implements the law. Third one is the judiciary. It ensures that law and rules of the country are followed properly and rights of the people are protected. The main work of the judiciary is to see that the law and the rules which are being made in the country that are being followed properly, as well as the rights of the citizens are also being protected by the judiciary. Now another important feature of the Indian Constitution is a universal adult franchise. Means everyone who is above 18, all citizens of India who are above 18 years of age have a right to vote irrespective of their caste, creed, religion, gender, educational level, etc. So according to the universal adult franchise, all the citizens of our country India who are above the age of the 18, they have the right to vote. Either they are of any caste, creed, religion, gender or educational level. Besides that, fundamental rights, 6 fundamental rights are being provided by the Indian Constitution to its citizens. See here, one of the most important feature of Indian Constitution is the fundamental rights which are provided to all Indian citizens irrespective of their caste, creed, sex, religion, etc. So one of the most important feature which is of the Indian Constitution, that is the fundamental rights, and this fundamental rights is provided to all the Indian citizens, either they are of any caste, creed, sex, religion or etc. It has guaranteed 6 fundamental rights to the citizens. So Indian Constitution has given 6 fundamental rights to the citizens of India, but these rights are not absolute rights. But these fundamental rights which are provided to the citizen, that are not the absolute right. Means there are certain legitimate restrictions on fundamental rights. Means we can say that there are also some restrictions on the fundamental rights. These are incorporated keeping in mind and to balance the rights of the citizens on the one hand and interest of the society and security of the country on the other. So these fundamental rights are given in such a way that there should be a balance in the rights of the citizens one hand, as well as the interest of the society and security of the country on the other hand. The fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution include, so here the fundamental rights, first one is right to equality. Means all persons are equal before the law. No one is being discriminated on the basis of the religion, race, caste or the gender, and all citizens have access to the public places. Yes, means all the places which are made by the government, everyone can use that, and all citizens have equal opportunity for the employment. Now second one is given right to freedom. In the right to freedom, various rights are there. First one, freedom of speech and expression. Means everyone is free to speak and express their views. Freedom to assemble peacefully and without arms. People have freedom to assemble at any place peacefully without arms. Freedom to form association and unions. People are free to form the association, means group, and the union. Freedom to move freely. Everyone is free to move in any part of the country. Freedom to reside in any part of the country. People are also free to live in any part of the country. Freedom to practice any profession or occupation. People of India are also free to practice any profession or any occupation. Now another, right against exploitation. According to this, 3 things are there. Prohibits all forms of forced labor. Means according to the exploitation, no one forced anyone to do any work. Prevent child labor. Any children who is below the age of 14 can't be used or utilized as a labor. prevents trafficking in human beings. There should not be any trafficking. Yes, human trafficking. Right to freedom of religion. According to this right, people are free to follow, practice, and preach any religion of their choice. Cultural and educational rights. According to this right, all minorities have the right to preserve and develop their culture. Last one, this is the most important one, right to constitutional remedies. Under this, if any citizen go to the court, if they feel that their any right is being discriminated or violated, then they will get remedy from the court, relief from the court. Beside these 6 fundamental rights, there are some fundamental duties also. Rights and duties are interrelated, or they must go together. We can say that rights and duties both are interrelated. For the progress, development and smooth functioning of any society, it is very important for citizens to perform certain duties. For the progress, development and the proper functioning of any society, it is very important that citizen perform some duties. Our constitution has listed the following fundamental duties to citizen. According to the Indian Constitution, these are the few fundamental duties of the citizens. First one, to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and national anthem. Everyone will follow the Constitution, as well as they will respect its ideals and institutions like the national flag and the national anthem. To cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. We have to also appreciate and follow the noble ideals which inspired the national struggle for the freedom of our country. To uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. We have to protect and keep safe the sovereignty, unity and integrity of the India. To defend the country and render national services when called upon to do so. It's our responsibility to defend our country, as well as we have to be ready for the service of our nation when we are being called. To promote harmony. It is also our responsibility to promote the harmony within the country. To value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. It is our also responsibility to give value as well as preserve the rich heritage of our country. To protect and improve the natural environment. We have to protect as well as improve the natural environment. To develop scientific temper, humanism and spirit of inquiry and reform. We have to develop scientific temper, humanitarian services, as well as we should have the spirit of inquiry and make the reform or changes to safeguard public property. It is our also responsibility to protect the public property, to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity. We have to work in all fields, or we have to give our excellence, our best in the all spheres if we are working individually or collectively. Now last one, directive principles of state policy. Now this is also a very important part. Why? See, directive principles constitute an important part of the Constitution. Directive principle is also the very important part of the Constitution. Constitution seeks to achieve the ideal of democratic welfare state as mentioned in the preamble with the help of these principles. So, our Constitution can achieve the ideal of the democratic as well as welfare state which are mentioned in the preamble with the help of the directive principles of the state policy. Article 38 of the Constitution lays down that the state shall strive to promote the welfare of the people. In the Article 38 of the Indian Constitution, it is clearly mentioned that state will work to promote the welfare of the people. Means state will work for the well-being of the people. According to directive principles, state shall direct its policy in such a manner as to provide opportunity to all men and women for adequate means of livelihood, and the economic system should not result in concentration of wealth in a few hands. According to the directive principle, state should make its policy in such a way that it provide equal opportunity to all men and women so that they can get the proper livelihood, as well as economic decisions should be taken in such a way that there should not be the concentration of wealth in the limited hands. Means economic decisions should be in such a way that it should be benefited for everyone. It is the government duty to follow these principles while making policies. So these principles serve as a guide to the Indian states. It is also the responsibility of the government to follow these principles, which are the directive principle of the state policy, when they are making any policy or law. So we can say that these principles serve as a guide for the Indian states.